The Bengals addressed offense on day 3 of the NFL draft. They added another corner and a punter. Let's recap day 3, and you better believe we'll have a full draft recap video coming your way as well, right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Hi again, everyone, and welcome in to Cincinnati Bengals Talk. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and remember that our draft coverage is brought to you by Rivertown Inquiry and rivertowninquiry.com. Doug and his team, they've expanded, and you need to check out their Finley Market location, downtown Cincinnati, and you can also check them out on Madison Road in Oakley. And go to rivertowninquiry.com. If you're not near one of these locations, or if you're not in Cincinnati, you can check out all of their awesome stuff there. Let's dive into what the Bengals did on day 3 of the draft. I will be doing a separate video on all 8 draft picks, but day 3 was quite interesting. And just big picture stuff on this draft. No offensive linemen. They didn't get an offensive lineman on day 3. They didn't address the defense until their final pick on day 3, and it was offense. It was about skill guys and loading up on skill guys, and it starts with Charlie Jones. And I love this pick. And some are going to point out his age, 25 years old. Well, will be 25 when the season starts. 24 years old, Purdue wide receiver, 110 catches last year, 1,300 plus yards, 12 touchdowns. Just a huge part of what the Boilermakers did. But I think you can easily see the role that he's going to have in Cincinnati in 2023 and beyond. He instantly comes in and is the favorite to be the starting punt returner, can be the starting kickoff returner as well, returned kicks at Iowa before he transferred to Purdue, a more pro-style offense, and returned kicks and punts there, and was the Big Ten return specialist of the year. So best returner in the Big Ten. He has 4.43 speed. So there's a lot to like. And I didn't get to the receiver part of it. Really good route runner. Played outside at Purdue, and I think that's interesting because he isn't 6 foot tall. You know, he's 5'11", and he's 175-ish, 175, 176, depending on where you look. So he'll probably want to get to 180. But the thing that Brian Callahan praised, Troy Walters praised, all of these guys praised was his ball skills and his ability to make contested catches and his ability to find a way to go get it. And that's what he said on a conference call with us. He said, hey, just throw it around me, and I'm going to go find a way to get it. And his ball skills, he said, were one of his biggest strengths, but certainly that competitiveness and willingness to be able to make contested catches. I know online there was a back shoulder catch against DJ Turner, the Bengals' second-round pick, that a lot of people were sharing. And it's like, oh, well, look at what Turner gave up. And it's like, actually, that's a heck of a play by Charlie Jones. So I really like that pick in round 4. And he can give the Bengals, obviously, a backup slot, but he's not just a slot. I think he can back up all 3 positions. And so you get a little more explosion out of him versus what you've had in the wide receiver room. He was in a pro-style system, so he's really a plug-and-play type guy that is instantly going to push the back end of that wide receiver room, the Trenton Irwins of the world, for playing time. I certainly think that that's the case, and like I said, he has value on special teams. And after that, well, they went with Chase Brown out of Illinois, a running back, 5'9", 209, productive. And this is why I like Brown. He's a little bit of an older prospect as well, 23 years old. But the beauty of a guy like Brown is you've seen it. You've seen what he is as a player. It's not like you're projecting, and you project with every prospect to a degree, but you're not projecting what he is. He was a productive player at Illinois, back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, averaged 5.3 yards per carry during his career, capable pass catcher out of the backfield. Obviously, he has to work on his pass blocking. Every single running back in this draft class has to work on their pass blocking to be successful in the NFL at that very trait. It just doesn't translate. It's like comparing apples to pizza. Doesn't work. And so, yeah, it's pass blocking in college. Most of these guys don't do it much, and when they have to, it's nothing like what it's going to be in the NFL. So we could talk about that. But I think the Bengals are getting a really good player, an explosive player, had a high-end vertical, 40-inch vertical, broad jump was the best at the combine. Just a freak. Just a guy that, and I think is best among running backs. But regardless, I would have to fact-check that. It's been a long day. Point is he's a high-end athlete, produced at Illinois, and I know he was really excited to get picked. Now, what does that mean for Joe Mixon? I don't think it has much bearing on Joe Mixon's future. Zach Taylor sat up here, and it's a video that we've posted right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk, and says, I really like Joe Mixon. Called him the starting running back. What does that mean? It means that Joe Mixon today is the starting running back. And so we'll see if that's the case week 1, but certainly still on the roster. They didn't draft a guy in the first or second round. So I think things are, if you're in Joe Mixon's camp, looking better than they were, say, a few days ago for his future with the team. I don't know either way, and it may come down to dollars and cents and other stuff regardless. But Joe Mixon might be back, and if so, Chase Brown compliments him very well. After that, they went back to the wide receiver well. And I had talked about how they could double dip at running back or double dip at these different positions, and they ultimately doubled up at wide receiver, and they get Andrei Iosvias from Princeton, and he is, you want to talk about traits, athletic, all of those things. That's what he is. 6'3", 205, long arms, long legs, has the build of a wide receiver, and he's a blazer. 4.43, just really, really tested well throughout the athletic testing portion of the pre-draft process. Spent a couple of days here in Cincinnati meeting with wide receivers coach Troy Walters, and had over 900 yards for Princeton last year. And you watch some of his highlights, and he makes plays. And so to me, you look at Iosivas, I think that he can certainly be in the mix long term. And he's one of these projects where you see the traits, but he's coming from the Ivy League, and it may take a little time, and it's the perfect time to get him in your room because you have Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, Jamar Chase. You get a guy in the room that has these traits, and you see if a really good high-end receivers coach like Troy Walters, who's been in the league, who's been around, who's coached wide receivers of all shapes and sizes, can get the most out of him. But now that wide receiver room just got a lot more athletic, and you have a prospect that could develop and turn into something, and then a guy in Jones who obviously still needs to develop some, adjusting to life in the NFL, but I think he's ready-made and ready to go and ready to contribute right away. For example, Andrei, his route tree is something Troy Walters talked about, and we posted the video of Troy talking about this. His route tree was not an NFL route tree, so he's going to have to learn just different routes and things like that. Meanwhile, Jones played in a pro-style system, so he is ready to hit the ground running from a route standpoint. Either way, though, the wide receiver room got a huge, huge boost. And then speaking of boosts, I think a lot of people wanted a punter. Well, the Bengals got a punter, and it happened to be with the trade-down pick from day 2, where they trade down from 92 to 95 and then ultimately took Jordan Battle. They're able to get a punter in Brad Robbins, and a guy at Michigan that was really great with hang time and really great directionally. And those were two things that the Bengals, and certainly Darren Simmons, I'm getting redundant, but we posted that video as well of Darren Simmons talking about this. They needed that. And it's going to be a competition with Drew Chrisman, but I would certainly call Brad Robbins the favorite. And we'll see what happens. But I think the Bengals came into this weekend hoping to address punter at some point. Maybe it ended up being restricted free agency or undrafted free agency, priority free agent if they needed to. It didn't need to come to that. They added the extra pick, and they were able to get a punter that they hope is the punter of their future and can hit the ground running as a rookie. And then their last pick was DJ Ivey, a cornerback out of Miami. Certainly someone that they were interested in. And when you're at the 246th pick, it's pretty simple. Well, do you really want this guy? Absolutely. Okay, well, let's pick him instead of trying to court him as an undrafted free agent. Let's just get him in the building now. And so they get a second cornerback after taking DJ Turner. You take DJ Ivey, and so there's two DJs, no periods in between either one. So that's nice for me, nice for Andrew, who obviously editing either of these guys. But who knows? Maybe he could compete for a back-end roster spot. But overall, I like this draft. I'll give it a final grade in a couple of days. I do want to plug one more thing, though. Talk to Myles Murphy today, one-on-one. The Bengals top draft pick, 28th overall, was really excited to catch up with him and talk with him. And so we will post that interview on Sunday right here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. And then it'll be time for final grades on Monday. So that's how we'll do it here. This way I'm not shooting from the hip with the grades. I'm able to dive into these prospects, how they fit into the roster, the logic behind it, and all of those things before I just throw out, shoot from the hip, an instant grade. But overall, I think day 3, it was a heck of a haul because they got more athletic in an area that they needed to. Question marks that will impact the grade potentially. No tight end in this draft. No offensive linemen in this draft. Two things that a lot of people wanted to see. And you still have the Jonah Williams thing lingering. All of those things are things we will address here on Cincinnati Bengals Talk. But shout out to Andrew Fox-Miller for editing throughout the draft. It's a pain. It's a lot. It's late nights, early mornings, all of those things that go in with, a 3-day marathon, but is also a sprint. The draft is so unique in that way, and it tests all of us. So shout out to him. Shout out to you for following along all weekend long. And like I said, we're going to continue to bring you coverage of the draft, including our draft grades. And I've mentioned it a few times on videos, but make sure you go to thecincyhat.com. Keep supporting Ted Karras. Keep supporting his cause with Village of Marici. They have that new line out. They have polos out. They have those hats out. And heck, the only reason I'm not wearing one now is, well, I'm supposed to be professional today. It's the draft, so you don't want to see me wearing a hat. It's draft day. So couldn't go that route. That said, I certainly will all summer long. I'll be in the Cincy hat. You can get yours at thecincyhat.com. Also check out rivertowninquiry.com. And for Andrew Fox-Miller, our channel coordinator, I'm James Rapien, signing off for now on CBT, Cincinnati Bengals Talk.